The glory of capitalism and the free market cannot be stopped, even by the Democrats of California. Yeah. Supply meets demand. Now, I always wondered, why was it that in my country, during the winter especially, when the temperatures get very low, some homeless people will commit petty crimes just so they end up in jail, where they have food on their table, they got a roof over their head, and it's warm. I was wondering, like, why do they do that? Why can't they just go to a homeless shelter? Do we not have those? Like, do people not want to build them? And the answer is that we do have homeless shelters, but they are plagued with a myriad of problems. Number one is theft. A lot of homeless people had their shoes stolen while in a homeless shelter. Number two is diseases. I mean, if you have people bunched up together, a single person with the coronavirus can spread it around. You also have fleas and other things that can be transmitted from one person to another. Then there's certain rules and regulations, like you're not allowed to consume alcohol, you're not allowed to use drugs. So this is why homeless people prefer not to go to homeless shelters. And it's not surprising that I see in California now a homeless camp which is charging people $200. Now, to add a little bit of context, $200 is a one-room apartment in Romania. Okay, like you can pay that and you can rent a one-room apartment, which, by the way, looks really well. I mean, we're not talking the cheap alternatives. Like, no, like a one-room apartment that looks very well in a decent area of town costs around $200. But meanwhile, in California, $200 gets you a place at a homeless camp. Now, granted, they are saying that this homeless camp is providing additional things, which apparently are above that what the homeless shelters provide. For example, security. There's fences, apparently. There's guards making sure that things aren't getting stolen. And on top of that, you also have standards, and it is still bewildering, isn't it? Right? Because it shouldn't come to this. Like, it shouldn't be so bad that people are making a business out of it. Look, every single country is going to have homeless people. But when you look at California, the situation is tragic. And there's multiple factors for this. Some factors don't necessarily have to do with the politicians. Like, for example, the housing associations, right? Like, you got very liberal-oriented people, very empathetic, democratic voters who care about minorities, who want more immigration, who are voting for the empathetic thing, but they just don't want it in their backyard. So when someone comes in and says, all right, let's build a affordable housing here, let's build a big tenant so we can house homeless people, they say, yay, like a horse that's high on ivermectin, because they don't want it in their neighborhood, because then the prices of their homes go down. You know, this is the mindset of the not in my backyard type of individual. But other than that, like, they want immigration, like they want more people. They like just the problem shouldn't be fixed in their vicinity. So that is, you know, something that isn't necessarily to do with the government, but then you have things that are to do with the government. For example, the fact that the police is so demoralized and they're not cracking down on the drug trafficking is getting a lot of people addicted. They spend up all their money. The drugs affect their higher cognitive function. It's difficult for them to get a job, to integrate themselves into society, so they end up being homeless. I mean, this is a huge problem from what I hear from Americans in California now. So bad that many people are leaving to Mexico. Then you also have the high crime rate. It's very difficult to operate a business, so businesses are shutting down. People are having difficulty finding a job. Not everyone likes to code. Then you also have politicians wanting more immigration. In other words, more people. But if you don't build houses, you have the supply and demand problem. So the rent goes up. The eviction moratorium, you have people that I know from the United States who used to lend their homes. Now they're not going to do that because they're afraid that the government at any point can pass another regulation which pretty much takes away the homes from them. Like, if you have a tenant in your building and the government says, well, even if he doesn't pay your rent, you're not allowed to kick him off. It causes anxiety, and the people renting homes, they don't want to rent homes now. So fewer homes, prices go up. And it's all of these put together. Overwhelmingly, it's due to government policy. Again, there are a couple of other aspects, like the housing associations, the choice of people to start doing drugs, the choice of people to have a lifestyle that's incompatible with being presentable in society and finding a job and getting past an interview. Like, I get that, but overwhelmingly, and you notice like how the moment you have all of these politicians advocating for equality and advocating for lowering the income disparity, it ends up causing more. This is what Milton Friedman said, that whenever a politician places equality in front of liberty, you get neither. You get neither equality, you get neither liberty. But when you have a politician that puts liberty first, then you do get liberty, and you actually might get a system that is a lot more equal and has a lot less income disparity than any other system that we've noticed. This is why this shit is mostly happening in blue cities and in blue states. And on top of that, like something that's even worse is the fact that politicians on the left that were supposed to care about these issues, they don't talk about them anymore. Like, I don't remember the last time I heard a Democrat talk about homelessness, like how he intends to fix it, what measures he intends to take for it, talk about the orphans, talk about the impoverished. The only thing they talk about right now is identity politics. It's like, oh, people of color. And it's like, I'm sorry, but like people of color can also mean President Barack Obama and other people that have mansions. And sure, it can also mean the person next to the garbage bin begging for a loaf of bread. But at the end of the day, like, you're not tackling the problem. Like, you're not focusing on the needy. Like, if you see a person that happens to be white or Asian and they're begging, like, they don't care about those, but they will care about someone like Michelle Obama or Meghan Markle. Like, unironically, we have reached the point where the television wants you to care about literal royalty and their suffering, and they completely ignore the suffering that matters. I mean, to me, this is a little bit disgusting. You know, I don't want to see my fellow men having to pay $200 in order to be able to have access to a homeless camp. It's so fucked up, isn't it? But what can you do? You need to care about Meghan Markle, who apparently got racismus from the royal family. I mean, I can't even imagine what she's going through. Clearly, not even close to what the people paying $200 to have access to a homeless camp. Let me know what you guys think, though, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.